I've been listening to Alan Watts for a few years now, and it's totally changed my entire life. Not only Alan Watts, but different spiritual speakers. But Alan Watts was one of the first ones I was introduced to. And for the longest time, I just liked the way that he talked. Some of the things made sense to me, but a lot of it just went over my head. Even though the words were very simple, I just couldn't comprehend it for some reason. And then one summer, I spent a few months in the woods, and I was listening to a bunch of his talks, and I came across the Out of Your Mind album, and the first, I would say, 30 minutes to an hour of it, there's a certain section of it that just totally changed my perspective. So I'm going to be paraphrasing that talk a lot. And I'd like to share some of the wisdom that I picked up from it. Now, for the longest time, we've been under two great myths: the ceramic model and the fully automatic model. I'm going to start with the ceramic model because that's how I was brought up. That's what I was brought up to believe. I went to Catholic school. And when I say myth, I don't take it the wrong way. Don't think that I'm talking about myth as something that's false. Just use myth in a different way. I'm using myth as an image, a way of trying to comprehend all of this. So we come up with these images, these theories of the universe. The first one is the ceramic model, and this is how I was brought up: that there was a creator, and the creator made man out of the dust of the earth and breathed the breath of life into man. Now, when you have this image of the universe, there's a very big difference between the made and the maker. It also leaves out growing. And you can tell if somebody has this theory of the universe, or if your kids have this theory of the universe, because they will ask you, how was I made? Which is not the type of question you'd get from a Chinese or a Hindu child. They would ask, how did I grow? Which are two totally different processes: the growing versus the making process. When you make something, you put it together with parts, but when something grows, it blossoms, cell division. Totally two different ideas of the whole process. So when you have this ceramic model of the universe, you have this idea that things are made and that there's a maker, and you're very humble or subservient to this maker. And this makes sense because for the longest time we had kings, and it would make sense that the theory of the universe would also match up with the way that the government structure was set up. But when you think of the universe in this way, of a king of the universe, you're on very humble terms. And when you go to church or you go in front of a king, you bow, you kneel, and you do that because somebody who's ruling you is afraid that you might attack. And they have very good reason to, because they're ruling you. And the person who's ruling you is the biggest crook in the bunch. So this differentiation between matter and spirit. And after a while of thinking this idea, it just didn't do it for me anymore. there was just limitations to it. Some of the things just didn't make sense. People were asking me questions. I was asking myself questions that just didn't make sense. Like with this theory of the universe, there wasn't answers for them. So the second theory of the universe is the fully automatic model of the universe. And I see a lot of people go from the ceramic model and they go to the fully automatic model. This is what I did. And the fully automatic model of the universe gets some of its laws of nature. It gets those from the ceramic model. It's like there's a train on rails, and in the same way, everything's on rails. Everything is governed by these laws of the universe. So they kept the laws, but they got rid of God. And now, when you have this idea of the universe, everything seems mechanical. Like Newton's billiard balls, cause and reaction. Everything's just blind energy. It's a fluke. One of my favorite quotes, it's like a million monkeys typing on a million typewriters for a million years will eventually type the encyclopedia, just out of fluke. And so that we don't become flukes and that we can keep our civilization and our humanity, this theory of the universe makes you want to conquest nature, makes you want to fight nature. You know, the rocket and the bulldozer. We're manly men. But which is totally wrong. And it causes a lot of harm. We damage our planet and our environment, damage ourselves, because we are nature. We grew out of this universe. We have this idea that we came into this world, that we feel like we're this consciousness in this bag of skin somewhere between our eyes. There's like a man with a bunch of levers up there. And we become hostile to nature. Now, I had these two ideas for the longest time. And I would flip back and forth. When the fully automatic model didn't do it for me, I'd go back to the ceramic model. And when the ceramic model didn't do it for me, I'd go back to the fully automatic model. But neither of them really were that satisfying to me. They never really made me feel at home. Didn't give me this feeling of oneness that I was really wanting. And when I had these theories of the universe, when I based my life around these images, I felt like there was no point. I felt separate. I felt suicidal. And then Alan Watts opened me up to a new perspective, a new myth, new theory of the universe. But unlike these other myths, this one was optimal. This one made me feel one with the universe. It gave me a breath of fresh air. It gave me new life. It gave me energy. I'd like to share this point of view with you. Not in this video. I hope this video will just help you understand the two main myths that Western man has lived their lives by for the longest time. And I'll make another video here shortly going over this optimal theory of the universe. It's a beautiful day. I'll link that full talk. It's an 8-hour talk, but I'll link that somewhere in this description around here. Hope to see you in the next video.